Opinions aren't always the truth, a powerful reminder. Hey there, friends. Let's talk about something that affects all of us: opinions. Have you ever had someone say something about you that made you doubt yourself? Maybe a friend, a coworker, or even a family member gave their opinion, and suddenly you started questioning your worth. Well, today, I want to remind you of something incredibly important. Let's break this down for a second. Everyone has an opinion, right? People will always have something to say about your choices, your abilities, your dreams. But just because someone says something about you doesn't mean it's true. Think about it. If one person calls you talented and another person says you're not good enough, which one is the truth? Neither. Because opinions are just perspectives, shaped by personal experiences, biases, and emotions. Now, I get it, hearing negative opinions can be tough. If someone close to you criticizes you, it might feel like they see something in you that you don't. And because we naturally seek validation, we start to believe their words. But here's the thing, even the people who love you the most don't always see the full picture. They might be speaking from their own fears, their own insecurities, or their own limitations. Don't let their doubts become your reality. Imagine this. If Thomas Edison had listened to people who said he was wasting his time, would we have the light bulb? If J.K. Rowling had believed the publishers who rejected her, would we have Harry Potter? And what about YOU? How many times have you held back from doing something amazing just because of what someone else thought? Let me ask you this. If no one else's opinion mattered, what would you do differently? Would you start that business? Would you take that trip? Would you finally chase your dream? Because guess what? You are the author of your own story. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore all feedback. Constructive criticism from people who genuinely care about you can be valuable. But there's a big difference between guidance and discouragement. Learn to recognize which opinions help you grow and which ones hold you back. So the next time someone says you're not smart enough, you're not talented enough, or you'll never make it, take a deep breath and remind yourself that is just their opinion. It's not the truth. You have the power to decide what you believe about yourself. Now, I want to challenge you. Think about a time when someone's opinion made you doubt yourself. What would you say to your past self now? How would you lift yourself up? Drop a comment below, because I'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, the only opinion that truly matters is the one you have about yourself. Go out there, believe in yourself, and prove to yourself what you're truly capable of. You got this. Growth and improvement take time. Be patient with yourself. Let me ask you something. Have you ever started something new, felt excited about it, and then after a while got frustrated because you weren't seeing results fast enough? Maybe you picked up a new skill, started a business, or even tried to improve yourself in some way, but things just weren't moving as quickly as you hoped. If that sounds familiar, I want you to take a deep breath and remember this. Growth and improvement take time. Think about a seed. When you plant it in the ground, you don't see results overnight. You water it, nurture it, and give it sunlight. For days, maybe even weeks, it looks like nothing is happening. But underneath the soil, that seed is working. It's growing roots, strengthening itself, and preparing for the moment it finally breaks through the surface. Your journey is no different. The truth is, we live in a world that celebrates instant success. We see viral videos, overnight sensations, and stories of people who seem to achieve everything so quickly. But what we don't see is the years of hard work, the failures, the struggles, and the moments of doubt they went through before they got there. Success isn't just about talent. It's about consistency, patience, and persistence. Now, I want you to think about something you've been working on. Maybe it's a personal goal, a new skill, or a big dream you've been chasing. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, maybe I'm just not good enough, or this is taking too long? Maybe it's not meant for me? Let me tell you, those thoughts are normal, but they don't define you. What defines you is whether you choose to keep going despite those doubts. Look at any successful athlete, artist, or entrepreneur. They didn't wake up one day with all their skills perfected. They put in hours, days, months, even years of effort. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team before becoming one of the greatest players of all time. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television before becoming one of the most influential media personalities in the world. What if they had given up just because progress felt slow? And here's the thing, small progress is still progress. Every time you practice, every time you try again, every time you refuse to quit, you are moving forward. Even if it doesn't feel like it, every effort you make is bringing you closer to where you want to be. So, I want to ask you, what is one thing you're working on right now that you feel is taking too long? What would happen if, instead of giving up, you committed to being patient with yourself? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. I'd love to hear your journey. Remember, your growth is happening even when you can't see it. Keep going, keep believing, and one day you'll look back and realize how far you've come. You are capable of so much more than you think. Stay patient, stay focused, and trust the process. You are more than one moment. Don't let your past define you. Hey, let's get real for a second. Have you ever made a mistake or gone through something so tough that it felt like it completely defined who you are? Maybe it was a failure, a bad decision, or a moment where things just didn't go your way. And now, no matter how much time has passed, you can't seem to shake that feeling. If that sounds familiar, I need you to hear this. You are not defined by one moment in time. Think about it. Life is like a book, and every single day is a new page. But too often, we get stuck rereading the same painful chapter, convincing ourselves that's all we'll ever be. We take one failure, one heartbreak, one disappointment, and we let it become our entire identity. But why? Why let a single moment hold that much power over your entire story? Imagine if some of the most successful people in the world had let their worst moments define them. What if Steve Jobs had given up after getting fired from the very company he started? What if Walt Disney had believed he wasn't creative enough after being told he lacked imagination? What if you stopped believing in yourself just because of one difficult moment? Now, I get it, moving on isn't easy. Our minds love to remind us of our past failures, especially when we're about to try something new. It whispers, "Remember when you messed up? What if it happens again?" But here's the truth. Your past is a lesson, not a life sentence. You are not stuck in that moment. You are growing, learning, and evolving every single day. Let me ask you something. If you could go back in time and talk to the version of yourself that felt broken, hopeless, or defeated, what would you say? Would you tell them to give up? Would you tell them that one mistake defines their entire future? No. You'd probably tell them to keep going, to be kind to themselves, and to remember that better days are coming. So why not tell yourself that right now? Instead of letting one bad moment shape your identity, start focusing on the bigger picture. You are a collection of experiences, lessons, and victories, not just setbacks. Every challenge you faced has made you stronger, wiser, and more resilient. So, here's what I want you to do. Take a deep breath and remind yourself, I am not my past. I am not my mistakes. I am not one single moment. I am still writing my story. And if you ever catch yourself dwelling on that one time you failed, that one time you were hurt, or that one time things didn't work out, pause and ask yourself, does this moment truly define me? Or is it just part of my journey? Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever let a past moment hold you back? What helped you move forward? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember, you are more than your worst day. You are more than your failures. Your story is still unfolding, and I promise the best chapters are yet to come. Keep believing, keep moving forward, and never let one moment define the incredible person you are becoming. Fear can't stop you. Take the leap anyway. All right, let's be honest. How many times has fear stopped you from doing something you really wanted to do? Maybe you wanted to start a new project, speak up in a meeting, or even just put yourself out there in a way that felt uncomfortable. But then, that little voice inside your head started whispering, what if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I'm not good enough? And just like that, you talked yourself out of it. Sound familiar? If so, I want you to hear me loud and clear. Is normal, but it doesn't have to control you. Think about it. Fear exists to protect us. It's wired into our brains to keep us from danger. But here's the catch. Fear doesn't know the difference between real danger and just stepping outside of your comfort zone. It reacts the same way whether you're facing a life-threatening situation or simply trying something new. And because of that, fear often holds us back from the very things that could change our lives. Now, let me ask you this. What's something you've always wanted to do, but fear has stopped you? Maybe it's starting your own business, going back to school, moving to a new city, or even just sharing your ideas with the world. Whatever it is, take a second and really think about it. What would your life look like if fear wasn't in the way? Here's the truth. You don't have to wait for fear to disappear before you take action. The most successful people in the world still fear. The difference? They act anyway. They know that fear is just a feeling, it's not a barrier. It's not a stop sign. It's just a signal that you're about to do something that matters. Think about the first time you rode a bike. You were probably terrified, right? You knew you might fall. You knew it could hurt, but you got on anyway. And sure enough, you probably did fall a few times. But guess what? You got back up. And before you knew it, you were riding without even thinking about it. That's how courage works. You don't wake up one day, suddenly fearless. You build courage by taking action despite the fear. Now, let's talk about failure, because I know that's what most of us are afraid of. We fear messing up, looking stupid, or proving our doubts right. But let me ask you something. What's worse? Failing? Or never trying at all, and always wondering what if? The truth is, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey. Every mistake, every setback, every time you fall, it's all making you stronger, smarter, and more prepared for what's next. So, I challenge you, what is one thing you've been avoiding because of fear? Think about it. And now, what's one small step you can take today to push past that fear? Drop a comment below and share it with me. I want to hear your story. Remember, this fear will always be there, but it does not get to make your decisions. You do. So take the leap, trust yourself, and know that no matter what happens, you will grow, you will learn, and you will be proud of yourself for trying. You've got this. Appreciate your uniqueness. You are enough. Let me ask you something. How often do you compare yourself to others? Be honest. Maybe you scroll through social media and see people who seem to have it all together. Maybe you look at someone else's success and think, why am I not there yet? Or maybe you doubt your own talents because someone else seems better, smarter, or more accomplished. If that sounds familiar, I want you to pause for a second and hear this. You are unique. And that's your greatest strength. The truth is, in a world where we're constantly being shown other people's highlights, it's easy to feel like we're not enough. But let's break that illusion. What you see online, at work, or in your social circles is never the full story. People show their best moments, their biggest wins, their most polished versions of themselves. What you don't see are their struggles, their doubts, and the nights they lay awake, questioning themselves, just like you. But here's the thing, you weren't meant to be like anyone else. Think about it. If we were all the same, life would be boring. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs you, exactly as you are. Your experiences, your thoughts, your voice, no one else has them. That means no one else can do what you do in the way you do it. Let me ask you, what is one thing you're really good at? Maybe you're a great listener. Maybe you have a creative mind. Maybe you're great at solving problems or making people laugh. Whatever it is, that's part of what makes you, you. But too often, we dismiss our strengths because they don't look like someone else's. Imagine if a painter looked at a musician and thought, I'm not talented because I can't play an instrument. Or if a writer compared themselves to an athlete and thought, I'm not successful because I can't run fast. Sounds ridiculous, right? Because each person has their own path, their own strengths, and their own value. And so do you. Now, let's talk about comparison, because I know that's where most of our self-doubt comes from. The only person you should compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. Are you learning? Are you growing? Are you showing up for yourself? That's what matters. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about being better than someone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. So, let's do something right now. Think of 3 things that make you unique. Maybe it's your kindness, your resilience, your creativity, whatever comes to mind. Now, I want you to own it. Write it down. Say it out loud. Because the more you remind yourself of what makes you special, the less power comparison will have over you. And before we wrap up, I want to ask, what's one thing you love about yourself? Drop it in the comments below. Let's celebrate who we are instead of wishing we were someone else. Remember this, you are enough. Exactly as you are. Keep growing, keep believing in yourself, and never forget that your uniqueness is your superpower. Break big goals down one step at a time. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed by a big goal? Maybe it was a dream you've had for years, but every time you thought about it, it just felt too big, too far away, or too impossible. Maybe you wanted to start a business, learn a new skill, or completely change your life, but instead of feeling excited, you felt stuck. If that sounds familiar, I have one simple truth for you. Big goals are not impossible. They just need to be broken down. Think about climbing a mountain. If you stand at the bottom and stare all the way up to the top, it's easy to feel intimidated. It looks massive, almost unreachable. But here's the thing, you don't climb a mountain in one giant leap. You climb it one step at a time. And that's exactly how you should approach your goals. Too often, we get caught up in the end result. We focus so much on where we want to be that we forget to appreciate the small steps that will actually get us there. And because we don't see immediate progress, we convince ourselves that it's not working, that we're not good enough, or that we should just quit. But that's not true. Every small step counts. Every effort matters. Let me give you an example. Imagine you want to write a book. That's a huge goal, right? Thinking about writing an entire book might feel overwhelming. But what if, instead of focusing on the whole book, you just focused on writing 1 page a day? 1 page. That's doable, right? And if you do that consistently, in a year, you'll have written 365 pages. That's a full book. Or maybe you want to get in shape, but the idea of going to the gym every day feels impossible. Instead of committing to an intense workout routine from the start, what if you just started with a 10-minute walk? That's an easy, manageable step. And once that becomes a habit, you build on it. The key to success isn't about making huge moves all at once. It's about making consistent moves over time. Because when you focus on small, achievable steps, 2 things happen. You build momentum. Every time you complete a small step, you prove to yourself that you can do it. And that motivation keeps you going. You remove overwhelm. Instead of seeing a giant, impossible goal, you see a series of small, doable actions. And suddenly, it doesn't seem so scary anymore. Now, I want you to think about a big goal you've been putting off because it feels too overwhelming. Got it? Good. Now, ask yourself, what's one small step you can take today? Just one. Maybe it's researching, practicing for 5 minutes, or reaching out to someone who can help. Whatever it is, commit to taking that step. And here's a challenge for you: drop a comment below and share one goal you have and one small step you're going to take today to move closer to it. Let's support each other in making progress. Remember this, you don't have to see the whole path to take the first step. Just start. Keep going. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize how far you've come.